Okay, all right.
Well, are you excited for Fright Fest?
What's that? Oh yeah, that. Oh yeah. Oh, you know it. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. Are we actually recording it or no? I
We
mean,
are.
oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you. I'm excited for Fright Fest. Yeah, because I've never been out of the country. As a matter of fact, I've never been out of the house. So this is going to be an interesting experience to see what it's like out in the real world. Yeah. I mean, I just got my first passport in my lifetime, and when I made the Ghastly Love of Johnny X, I had a chance to go to all kinds of places, Ireland and London, and I just kept sending other people, like, you go, you go, you go. But this time, the executive producer talked me into it. I'm like, okay, I'll go to London. I'm not a big fan of flying on a plane, but I'm sure once we get there, everything will be great. And the people seem very nice, and it looks like a well-run festival. As a matter of fact, I was speaking with Don Coscarelli, who is a friend of mine. He's a director, and he came and saw A Blind Bargain. And I mentioned Fright Fest, and he goes, "Oh, it's a wonderful festival." He's been there, and everyone I've talked to that's been there really says great things about it. So, yes, absolutely, looking forward to it. I'll see if I can get in, though. I don't know if the movie's going to be sold out, but if I can get tickets for my own movie, that would be kind of neat.
I'm hoping it will sell out. I had a
Oh,
really good time with it.
oh, they put it in a small theater, so I'm sure it'll sell out. But we might have to carry it out onto the streets and, give a free show out there. But, we can always reenact it too, so there's that.
Yeah, Mr. Glover is pretty talented with his one-man stage shows. I've checked out a lot of that after interviewing him. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw one of those in person back at the Egyptian Theater back, I don't know, about 9 or 10 years ago. And it's quite interesting, I have to say. He really puts on a good show over there. So if you have a chance, you've seen it on where? Online or?
I've seen bits and clips of it online. I looked it up because I was curious after he told me to go to his website, and I'm like, okay, I got to see what this is all about.
Because I know he's out there and they're pulling, like, if they see somebody, at least the show I was at, it's like they take no video, they take your phone away or make you turn your phone off. So maybe it's
Oh,
different now, but I'm glad that somebody snuck it out there.
gotta get the buzz out somehow.
So you've seen the movie, have you?
Yes, I have.
Well, that makes one of us. How was it? Did you enjoy it?
Well, I actually got a couple questions for you. I
Oh.
think I'm hoping you'll relate to this one. So,
Hmm.
I know that it was based on the original Lon Chaney film, and I love the history behind that. Could you tell me a little bit of how you selected to do this project? Because the whole, like, how the original master got burned and how you're working from, like, the history and what you can look up online. How did you come to your vision for A Blind Bargain?
Well, first of all, I had a couple of friends who were talking about making a movie, and I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. They'd never really made a movie before, and so I would go to lunches and things and listen to these guys talking about, oh, we're going to do this remake of this, remake of a Blind Bargain, and I thought, okay, Blind Bargain, Lon Chaney. I love silent films. And I thought it was kind of funny how they never, asked me to be involved. And so I just kind of listened. They'd tell the story over and over and over again, and they'd always just be talking about it. And then one day they went out and they got some floodlights over at Home Depot. And I'm like, oh, and they're like, well, we have our lights now. And I'm like, okay, these guys are really going to make a good production here with a couple of floodlights and maybe a Super 8 camera. They were because these guys had always, they love film, as do I, and so they got all everything together and stuff, but they never really wrote the script. And finally, I said, "Hey, it's been about 8 or 9 years. Stop talking about this thing." I still wasn't involved. I said, "I'll type the script for you because the guy that these are, older guys, and they were, he was handwriting the script out on paper." And I'm like, I'll type this out for you if you want. And that way you can at least have a script and you guys can maybe think about making the movie for real. So I typed the script out and I'm like, oh, that's not very good. Uh, and finally it kind of came to a point where the one guy who was going to direct decided he didn't feel comfortable. He didn't know how he's going to do stuff. So he bowed out. And then there was some disagreement over the two of those guys over the writing, And finally they asked me, John Falatico asked me if I would direct it, and I said, well, yes, but we have to rewrite the script because I'm not going to do it, like this. So interestingly, it's really the first project that I've been involved with that I've done in my, if you could believe it, counting since I was a kid, 50 plus years of making movies. And I mean, I started back in the 70s making films. And I thought to myself, one day I'll make a real film. But anyway, maybe almost with a blind bargain. So finally, I got brought in one of my friends, Bing Bailey, and he came up with a better storyline. And I thought, okay, I can kind of work with that. And then John and I took his story and he prepared a script and we rewrote that. And once I started putting things in that I steered it away from this neo-noir kind of crime thing that Bing was doing, which was great. But for me, my sensibilities, I really like something a little more abstract and quirky and that kind of thing. So really, it just kind of evolved from, having these friends to them saying they wanted to make a movie to me saying if you want to do it right, I'd be happy to help you if you let me come on board and
Hmm.
bring in all of my people. So, from The Ghastly Love of Johnny X, another a film I did on 35 millimeter, black and white, the last of Kodak's Plus X film stock. That was a beautiful, and it is a beautiful looking movie. Even American Cinematographer did a beautiful piece on it. And, so I thought, well, we have to shoot on film. And, that's one of the things. And luckily, John Filatico is a film lover. And so, we naturally I just kind of got everything together. I know it's a long-winded answer for a very short question, but, I think that's kind of how it all came together. It just sort of fell into my lap. Believe it or not, I was working a regular job and I thought, well, I was trying to get another movie going and I hadn't had any luck with that. And it had been a while. And I thought, well, this is a great opportunity to do a reimagining of a silent movie of a classic film that I love, the actor Lon Chaney,
Hmm.
and to do a reimagining of this movie that we can just have fun with it, but do it in unexpected ways. I didn't want to make The Artist. I didn't want to make. I mean, I could have very well done that, and I would have enjoyed it doing a black and white, silent, kind of gothic looking. But we didn't really go in that direction. It was when Bing came up with the 1970 setting and the Vietnam vet and all of this stuff and some drug use, being an addict, this young man, and trying to hide it from his mother and needing money, so he needed to go and find a way to get money, so he
Yeah.
sells his mother out essentially. But I mean, so I thought it was really interesting, and all those elements appealed to me. And I added in some strange things that you wouldn't expect to be in the movie, but like an elephant walking through the room. No, I'm just kidding. We had to cut that part out, I'm afraid. But so yeah, there was all of that. Yeah, was that pretty much what you had asked me?
Oh yeah, you definitely hit it. But I got something else that I kind of noticed, and I'm wondering if you saw this too, or there was any intentions to this. So compared to the original Lon Chaney film, it seems
Mhm.
your vision had a little bit of a heavier focus on Amy Wright's Joy Fontaine and her yearning to be young and beautiful again and call back to her earlier days in film. Did
Hmm.
the shared DNA with the substance? I didn't expect that, but were those themes intentional or unplanned?
No, you know what? To this day, I have never seen The Substance. Okay, believe it or not. Uh, John Filatico, this was his thing. I mean, he financed the whole movie. He was a little concerned, so he went out and saw it. And it's like, well, it's a monster movie, essentially a Jekyll and Hyde thing. And I pretty much got the gist of it. I almost went to see it a few times, and I think I had a screener, because I'm a member of SAG and everything, but I never really got around to seeing it. And I thought, well, maybe it's better if I don't see it.
I
But to
gotcha.
answer your question, no. It was kind of a coincidence. There was a similar thing there, but they went way over the top
Oh
monster
yeah.
movie, whereas we did more dramatic. That's a similar theme, but there's no DNA there at all whatsoever. Not even Dr. Gruder could pull that one off,
I,
So.
I did enjoy the body horror elements of it though, like when he's going to touch her face and you got parts of it coming off. I'm like, that was cool.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, we had to do something. I mean, I guess I could have done a little bit more. I mean, but it's important to know that this really isn't a horror film. I mean, it's not an out and out horror film. So I don't want to, disappoint anyone that's expecting to see a substance-like movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is a dramatic film. I like to call it like a weird tale kind of a thing, like something you might have seen on television back in the early 70s, like Rod Serling's Night Gallery.
Okay.
They had many odd and weird stories like this, and that seemed to be the best way that I can describe the film, being something like that, and I did it on Super 16 as opposed to 35 millimeter to give it, because Super 16 is a smaller gauge. You could see behind me these projectors and reels here. Those are 16 millimeter. But Super 16 has a smaller gauge, like this, whereas 35 would be more like that. And it gives it a little bit more grain and gives it, for me, even though those shows back in the 70s were shot on 35 millimeter, but it really gives you more of a kind of a TV feel look to it and a style. So I wanted to keep it somewhat accurate for the time. I didn't want to have any anachronisms in the film. I mean, there may be a few that we snuck in, but for the most part, I was going for an authenticity of the look and the style and the type of techniques they would have used back at that time, making a show. So, but absolutely no DNA.
Oh man, it was enjoyable. I get what you're trying to say there with the different genres, like having it feel weird and sci-fi-esque and callbacks to like Rod Sterling and Night Gallery. I love that.
Oh
Going
yeah.
back and looking at your filmography, you got a very eccentric like filmography, all the different projects that you've been involved in. Is there a dream project or a subgenre that you'd like to work in that you haven't explored?
Well, I like making pictures that are kind of taking place in a non in reality in today. I mean, we could see a gazillion stories about, kids on cell phones and, attacking their lovers or whatever they're doing now. But, honestly, I just try to make something that's a little bit outside of the box. And it's funny because even when I was a kid making movies, I know that some of the other people that I knew were making movies, other kids, if they would do Super 8 films, they were doing remakes or spoofs of Star Trek or science fiction or things. I always did these weird, even going back to the 70s, the late 70s, I was doing a character based on like Charlie Chaplin and Harold Lloyd and I played the part. So, I'd always kind of been drawn to these weird old-fashioned kind of things. And so my ideal genre would really be just to kind of create a world that isn't real and that puts you in, if you can just step away from your everyday life and sit into a darkened theater ideally and watch it and try to forget about what's going on in the world and escape into the film. I know it's hard to do these days because everyone's so savvy about making videos and things, and it's all on your telephone and you know and all of this stuff. But I really believe that if one can just, let go and just kind of sit in that dark theater and let the sound engulf you and the experience of the movie, I really enjoy making films that take you to another place. And yeah, I don't mind a little bit of the artificiality of it, I mean, I put that in intentionally, like when they're driving the car. I use the old techniques of rear
Yep.
screen projection. I did it in Johnny X with 35 millimeter film being projected behind him. In this one, we used like a digital screen, but it was still live and being projected behind them. And all that footage I shot personally with two other people. So, I had to shoot all the plates and make sure everything was going to line up. So it's very tricky. I have a couple of projects right now, one called Rocket Girl, which is kind of a retro, kind of tastic, kind of neat 1960s yet futurism type film. And then I have a biopic based on the life and times of the 1960s pop singer icon Tiny Tim. And I've
Hmm.
had that one for years. Tiny Tim, if you don't know who he is, sang this song Tiptoe Through the Tulips in the late 60s. He was like the biggest thing. I mean, he got married on the Tonight Show, on Johnny Carson's show, on a live show. And the ratings were like probably second after the moon landing for that year in
Hmm.
1969. So, so that's a story that interests me about a quirky individual, somebody that shouldn't have made it, but did make it. And he had his maybe, 30 minutes of fame, and then he kind of just fizzled out. But, he was his own worst enemy. So, yeah, my Tiny Tim project, just telling interesting stories and like Rocket Girl, or maybe something else, maybe another Lost remake. Maybe we might tackle London After Midnight. I mean, who knows? You never know. I mean, these things kind of fall into your lap, but I'm just thrilled to be able to make movies still. And at my age, I'm lucky to get out of bed in the morning. So, that's one of the things that I very thankful for these days.
It's interesting you said the Tiny Tim. I think you're going to find there's more of an audience for that than you think because a lot of his songs have been used as background for horror movies lately, and
That's true.
people very well recognize them from Conjuring and Universe
Hmm.
and Insidious. Like that
Yep.
Tiptoe song is definitely in
Hmm.
horror's DNA.
That's true. That's very true. I remember, but I wrote this script 25 years ago. And I don't know, I'm sure you were familiar with Joe Dante, the director,
Yes.
Gremlins and all that.
Hmm.
Well, he's a friend of mine, and we took it to Joe Dante, and he loved the script. And they actually tried for a time. I don't know if he was going to direct, but his company, Renfield, they were going to produce it. He showed it around to like HBO and, some kind of TV movie type things. And, I was hoping that I could direct it, and I still want to direct the movie. But, he loved that script. Another friend of mine, John Davison, he produced Starship Troopers, RoboCop, the original Airplane. I mean, he loves that script. But he's retired. John Davison's basically retired from producing. He did work with Corman back in the day. Produced Ron Howard's first movie and so on. And then Joe Dante, well, I mean, that ship has kind of sailed. I mean, they tried for a short time. But I really believe in that, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think it's only a matter of time before somebody figures out, hey, we got to make a movie about Tiny Tim. It's going to happen. You can mark my words. I'd like to be the one to do it because I have a screenplay that I really feel confident about. And I think it's a good script. But I know I've heard of others who have sort of been, who have scripts. But I think I had mine first, way back, 25 years ago. But it doesn't matter whose was first. It matters whose gets made.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that maybe one day we could make God Bless Tiny Tim, which is the name of my screenplay, which is the name of his first album he did for Warner Brothers Reprise Records back in 1968. So anyway, so there's that. There's
That's
that.
actually cool. I
Yeah,
love all
it
the
would be a fun script because the kids, I mean, people, they don't even know who Tiny Tim. A lot of people do, but then the ones who don't, it's like, was this guy for real?
yeah.
I mean, it was just you can't make stuff up like this. I mean, his life was, he had some really bizarre things happen. That he kind of was brought it onto himself. But he was a quirky guy. And he actually died singing "Tiptoe Through the Tulips" on stage. I mean, could you believe that? I think he
I
was
didn't even
like.
know that. That's
Yeah,
wild.
he was performing for, I think it was the Minneapolis, was it? Or Minnesota, or I forget, the women's club, and he had a heart attack and dropped dead while he was singing his set. So really sad. But anyway, so yes, to be continued. Let's hope that we can get that one made.
I hope so too. It sounds really interesting. I like the ideas you got flowing there.
Well,
It's
thank
cool.
you. Yeah.
Trying to think of something else for you here. What do you want audiences to know about a blind bargain going into it?
Well, that they'll have to pay admission because I cannot let them see it for free. Oh, you mean the movie? Well, okay. I mean, I might let a couple of folks in for free. I would like them to know that number one, hopefully their expectations aren't it's a horror film because they're going to see it at Fright Fest. And it's not that it isn't. I mean, it has horror. I mean, it has light horror elements and themes, but it's not a edge of your seat kind of slasher gore fest or anything like that. I mean, it's more of a fantasy, surreal kind of mad scientist, a tale, you know. But I don't know. I mean, you know, I think they should just go into it blindly, not knowing the bargain they're about to get. And it is a bargain. You know, we have a bargain matinee, so that's a blind bargain matinee we're going to have for everybody, and we're going to give out at the world premiere in London, which I will be there, of course, as we discussed earlier. I will be giving out little brochure, little programs, and we have
Hmm.
buttons and postcards. So yeah, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're about to debut our new poster, the official poster, which has Crispin Glover on it. You know, so it's really amazing. So maybe by the time this goes online, it'll be out there. But I just want them to go in, you know, hoping to be entertained and they're going to see something a little bit different.
Well, that's always fun.
Hmm. Now, when you saw it, you said that you know, I mean, what did you expect? What were your expectations of this?
I mean, I had obviously seen a lot of Crispin's work, but
Hmm.
I haven't seen him in anything in a while, honestly. And I'm like, oh, he's in a new project. I definitely want to check this out. So when I saw it premiering at Fright Fest, I got on the PR list, and the PR company for Blind Bargain was actually one of the first ones I emailed looking for a screener. So you were actually the first film I watched for Fright Fest.
Wow. Well, thank you. That's good to know. You know, and you seem to like it. So, you know, I don't know, you know, I mean, if people interpret the film in their own way, you know, I'm sure you saw it a certain way and certain things in the movie. You know, I prefer to never explain things. You know, I like to be ambiguous about it and not to really say, you know, well, this was my intent, this was my meaning, this is what I perceived as going on, you know. So and that's another thing about my kind of my films, you know. So but yeah, I'm thrilled, you know, having you know shot this on film. And you know, I've shot all my movies on film, so it's a 16 millimeter movie. Beautiful sound design. One thing you didn't hear when you watched the screener was the amazing 7.1 all encompassing sound, which is just incredible, you know, with the subwoofer going and all the little bass notes and all the things around you that you can't possibly get on a computer or even at your on your home thing on with a left channel, right channel track. But it's a whole different experience. So anyone that comes to see it at Fright Fest on the 25th of August at 1:25 p.m. in Discovery 2 at the Odeon Lux Theater. Jolly good. I'm looking so forward. And I look, I'm telling you, this is going to be an experience. You know, I'm going to have that sound cranked up. So
Good.
bring your hearing aids or your earplugs, whichever you prefer, because you might need a hearing aid after you see the movie, or you might need earplugs while you're watching it. No, I'll make sure it's comfortable. It's not going to be that bad. So I always try to make my sound, you know, one thing that I pride myself in, and that's sound design. I thought, you know, if I had never been a movie director, I think I would have been a sound designer. I've always had an interest in that. I've dabbled with it back in the day. In the 80s, I would have these reel-to-reel tape machines, 4-track. I'd be cutting the tape, splicing things together, creating different things. It was great, and I still love it to this day. So I have a pretty good ear, actually two pretty good ears for sound and music, and the score is really great. I mean, I know I seem to be a little silly, but you know, this is just my personality, but I get excited because Ego Plum, a great friend of mine whose first movie was The Ghastly Love of Johnny X, his first orchestral score in a feature. We came back together and we got to work on this film, and he told me that he thought this was the most unique thing he's ever done. He experiments with different sounds and things in the score. I don't know how easy it is to hear the score on the video that you watched. Did you get a sense of the music
A little
from?
bit, but like you said, it's hard having a soundscape on like a laptop. So,
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, you can hear music, but you don't get the
yeah.
full effect. So, of course, most people are going to see the movie ultimately probably streaming, maybe some home video type things if people are still collecting Blu-rays and 4Ks, which I do personally. You know, hey, oh, there you go. I'm a big collector, you know, and I'm going to make sure we get a you know a home media release on this. But I just want to say that the best is yet to come. So a blind bargain coming soon, blindly. It's a bargain. You have to see it.
I love your energy. This is just
Thank you.
awesome.
Hey, I'm excited. Look, like I said, they're letting me out of the house for a couple of weeks and I get to go to London. This is going to be so fun. So if I can get there, safely and everything, this is going to be great. Crispin Glover, have you interviewed Crispin Glover or no?
Yes, I did
Oh,
actually
okay.
just a few days ago.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he told you he hasn't seen the movie,
Yeah.
or did he?
No, I don't think he said he's seen it.
Yeah, I want to show it to him. I have links for him, of course, but he kind of wants to experience the film in a theater on the big screen with an audience. This is how he likes to see movies. I mean, I heard him say that he's not really into watching movies on computers. I mean, he will if he has to, but that's good because uh, there's a better chance of him liking the final product if he can experience it in the theater and me not getting injured as he's walking out the door. I think he's gonna like no, I think he's gonna like the film. It was great working with Crispin, by the way. That guy is we have a lot of similar common interests, shooting on film, pre-code movies, silent movies. But this movie is interesting. One of the things that he actually said to me was he said, why don't you take all the cursing out? Isn't that interesting? In the original script, there was some cursing, which I never usually put much in my movies anyway, so I was all for it. But he said not because he's a prude or anything like that, but he just felt that it was anachronistic. If you're watching a movie, say from 1970, you're not really going to hear modern day swearing.
It's
The
true.
way I mean, and they swear everywhere now. They could swear
Yeah.
on, it's more acceptable. But I kind of think, it gives the movie a more of a quaint, kind of an authenticity to it. So you may notice that. And that was one of Crispin's suggestions, and I happily, agreed with him. And we went back through the script and we substituted that swear word for something creative. And it gave the movie kind of a colorful, language, and the dialogue was more clever, I felt. So. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's just me. But doggone it, whoops, I shouldn't say swear words. Oh, that's about as far as I go. But anyway, hey, Jonathan, I really want to thank you is there anything else that I can answer? Would you like some fries with that Coke or anything? I
I
can
got one
go.
more for you because I've never actually interviewed a director and I've always wanted to ask a
Oh,
director this. Give
do
me
I
three
seem
of
like a
your
director? Do I seem like a director to you? Somebody that
I
can
think you
actually
do.
direct a movie?
I think so.
I'll tell you what. Well, thank you. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I mean, maybe this is not, a lot of directors, they're very serious. And yeah, when I was doing this movie, I'm a genius. I mean, I get it all the time. I'm pretty smart and inventive and wonderful. Is there anything else you'd like to say? I'll tell you about me. I don't really like to I just try to keep it light and keep a sense of humor, and that's how my sets are. I'm going to let you ask your question, by the way, but I just wanted to say that I just want people to know when they're on one of my films, and this is true, and this is the weirdest thing. People come up to me afterwards, like on Johnny X or even this film. I've seen people comment, that is the best time I ever had on a movie. Not that we're there partying, because believe me, I'm the one person on the set that's not having a good time. I'll tell you that. But I want to make sure that there's no stress, that people aren't being yelled at, and that we're not, I try for the most part. I mean, we all make our mistakes. I've had my moments. And, but I'm very passionate about what I'm doing, and I'm very serious. And unlike this interview in real life, I'm really quite, quiet and reserved and everything. But I use this to try to communicate my innermost thoughts of my brilliance and my directorial efforts, of which will win me many Academy Awards in the near future. I'm sorry. Oh, I just had a brainurism right there. Okay. Anyway, go ahead, Jonathan. I'm not that good, but I'm great. Okay. Go ahead. That's a director. I'm directing you.
I
I'm
know
sorry.
you're
I'll be
killing me.
serious. I'll be sorry. We only have like, what do we have? 4 hours to do this interview. We better snap it up here.
Okay, Mr. Bunnell. I've never had a director in front of me. As I was saying, this is only my second interview ever. Um,
Wow.
I'd love to hear three of your favorite movies.
Okay. Well, I love, in no particular order, one of my favorite movies of all time is It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. 1963, directed by Stanley Kramer. If you haven't seen the film, have you seen that film?
I actually haven't. You got me
Okay.
there.
I mean, it's like a 3 hour comedy. It's over the top. People either hate that film or they love it. It's bombastic. It kind of comes at you with a lot of noise. I can equate it to what Steven Spielberg did later with 1941. That was kind of like, in a way, it's a mad, 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 mad world, but not as good. But that movie, I just love the comedy. I mean, does it have brilliant stuff going on? Well, yeah, it's a wonderful movie. Okay, another film I really love is one of my all-time favorite movies is Phantom of the Paradise. Phantom of the Paradise, directed by Brian De Palma, 1974. Have you seen that movie?
Actually, no, you got me on two now, but
Oh,
I'm adding him to my
that
watch list. Don't worry.
you have to see Phantom of the Paradise. Now that's a 70s time capsule
Okay.
starring the great Paul Williams, who was also in The Ghastly Love of Johnny X, playing a talk show host. I was a big fan of Paul's because of Phantom of the Paradise. And Paul, of course, is an Academy Award winning, songwriter. He's won every possible award for writing songs, but I'll tell you that is Brian De Palma, who does horror films, as you know. Some of his famous movies, Dressed to Kill.
Hmm.
He did a picture called The Untouchables, which was not horror, but a great movie. So yes, go see Phantom of the Paradise. Oh, hey, there you go. Run, don't walk. Now, my all-time favorite director, living or dead, is Alfred Hitchcock, and
Ooh,
I've seen every one of his movies. Uh, some of them multiple times, and probably my favorite Hitchcock film is Vertigo. I mean,
okay.
maybe that seems like a standard answer, but I love Vertigo. I love Vertigo, and then North by Northwest, Psycho, of course. I mean, these are amazing movies with so much going on in them. These are great films. Hitchcock was what he called, referred to pure cinema. He came up from silent films, so his films were more visual later on because of that early experience making silent films and designing title cards for the films in the early days. So yes, Alfred Hitchcock, Vertigo. So I gave you three. I gave you It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, but this is no particular order. Phantom of the Paradise and Vertigo. And I also love, as a bonus film, Charlie Chaplin, City Lights, another movie I'm sure you haven't seen. But
Actually,
oh,
actually, I have
you've seen
because
it. No kidding.
when I went to college, I took a film history course, and the
Okay.
professor was absolutely obsessed with Chaplin. So we pretty much watched everything Chaplin, and it opened my eyes to like Chaplin's work and silent
Oh,
movies, and I loved it.
I love City Lights. That end scene, it's so simple yet so effective. And all of his films, I've watched Chaplin's features many times over. And I've actually owned film prints that I could project, on like the projector. And, I have a film collection. I'm a film collector. So I collect film. I have 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter, Super 8, well, that's going way back when I made Super 8 films. But so yeah, th those are some great movies. And if you've seen one of them, well, you've seen a good one. So you saw one of those films. So I'd recommend those films. There's so many great movies out there.
Oh
How
yeah.
does one make I'm still striving. I haven't, I made movies for many years, but I haven't had a chance to really dig in there and do a film and then another film and another film because the most difficult part is raising the money. And I've had opportunities to make movies on a very low budget, shoestring kind of thing. Not that I would poo-poo that, but I think for me, I want to deliver a quality show when I make a film. I'm only going to be around the planet for so long. So, if I do put 1,000% of my passion and drive into making a movie. It's got to be done right, or as right as I can make it. We had a few frustrations I did with Blind Bargain because they only gave me 18 days to film it, and
Oh,
that's nothing. That's
yeah.
three 6-day weeks, and so I felt it was more of a TV kind of shooting schedule, and I mean, it came out fine and everything. You'd never know that, but of course, I had so many more ideas that I wanted to get up on the screen, but maybe we'll put them in the next film. So who knows? But yeah, those are some of my favorite films. I would start with Phantom of the Paradise. It's funny, it's dark, and I just won't say anything else. It's basically the story of Faust. You know,
Hmm.
it's a great movie. I've seen that movie probably more than any other movie I've ever seen. I've owned a film print of it. I've seen that movie more than any other film theatrically. I've seen it projected. I've seen it with Paul Williams. Oh boy, That doesn't mean it's the best movie ever made, but it's one of my personal favorites. And if you don't see
Hey.
that movie, Jonathan, and give me a report back, well, I don't know. Maybe
No,
it'll
I
be a
plan on
blind
it.
bargain that day. But anyway, thank you
Uh,
so much. I appreciate
thank
the
you.
chat. And hey, go check out another movie. It's not on my top 10, but it is a film I made called The Ghastly Love of Johnny X. And if you haven't seen that, well, then, you haven't seen that. So
I
I
fully
highly
plan on
recommend
it.
it. All right.
Well, I thank you so much, Mr. Bunnell. It was very nice meeting you, and
Thank
I
you.
hope that you sell out every place that Blind Bargain goes to because I had a blast with it.
Well, I never sell out. I'm always a person that does what I want to do. I don't sell out. Oh, you mean like product placement? I understand what you're saying now. Anyway, this has been great, and I hope we can do this again. And you have a beautiful day. And everybody out there watching, come see Blind Bargain. If you're in the UK, I want to meet you. Come and shake my hand, and we'll have tea
That works.
and crumpets.
Tea and crumpets. We're hitting it
Yes.
right on the head now.
Okay. I'm gonna get in trouble for that one.
No.
They love me out there. I'm part British anyway, so
Oh, there you go.
yeah, my glasses are British. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. This
All right,
was a
thank you. I,
blast.
I appreciate it. I hope